Molten chocolate lava cakes. They are a staple on restaurant dessert menus, and they can run the gamut from being absolutely wonderful to completely underwhelming. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a truly fantastic chocolate lava cake that is bonus points, gluten-free, and dairy-free. I'm sorry to say, however, that once you've actually seen how easy it is to make it at home, you just might never want to order a chocolate lava cake from a restaurant again. Chocolate lava cakes are decadent, intensely chocolatey, and when cooked properly will ooze out this gooey core of molten chocolate. You can find countless recipes for lava cakes online, but the thing that you will have a difficult time finding is consensus. Lots of recipes say to use flour, others say to use flour substitutes, some say no flour at all, some use dairy, others don't. I've tried many different kinds, and I find that the ones that contain flour or flour substitutes walk a fine line between being a chocolate lava cake and a simple chocolate cake. Personally, I think flourless is the way to go. Not only does it make it naturally gluten-free, but it gives it this delicate and tender crumb that melts in your mouth. Top that off with a simple fruit sauce, which we will be making today, some ice cream, and you have a killer combination for anybody who loves chocolate. So that's what we will be looking at today. First, the cake. Secondly, a simple fruit sauce. And third, why restaurants love this dessert so much. The first thing we're going to do is melt chocolate and butter, or butter substitute, in this case coconut fat, together. You can either do this in a microwave or in a pan. Either way, you want to keep a close eye on it and stir frequently to make sure the chocolate doesn't scald or burn. Once the chocolate and fat is melted and mixed together, set it aside to cool, and let's look at our ingredients. If you look at our ingredients for this recipe, it doesn't actually look like it should become a cake. We have eggs, chocolate, fat, sugar, salt, and vanilla. Where does the cake structure come from? If you guessed the eggs, you're right, mostly. This lava cake is a modified foam cake, which is the same category of cakes that includes things like angel food cake, chiffon, sponge, or soufflés. We are going to be separating our eggs and beating them into two different foams, a stiff egg white foam and a soft egg yolk and sugar foam. All of that whipped egg is going to create a really strong mesh of proteins, trapping millions of air bubbles into the foam. As the batter bakes, those air bubbles are going to expand in the heat, causing the cake to rise and leaven itself. The sugar also plays an important role in making this happen. When it comes to baking, sugar does far more than simply act as a sweetener. In this case, the sugar is going to raise the temperature at which those egg proteins set, effectively giving our cake more time to rise before the structure becomes too rigid for the hot air to lift it. If you've baked before, you've probably come across the instruction to beat your sugar and your eggs together, or in this case our egg yolks, until pale and fluffy. This is another trick for creating lift and leavening in your baking. As you are whipping the egg yolks and the sugar together, you are introducing air bubbles, dissolving the sugar, and promoting the egg's ability to emulsify your batter into one smooth blend. You want to beat the eggs until the mixture starts to ribbon. You'll see it when the eggs and the sugar fall off your whisk in long, flat ribbons before melting slowly back into the bowl. Now that the chocolate has cooled enough that it won't curdle our egg yolks, we can mix that together. Our final step is to combine the foamed egg whites and the chocolate yolk mixture. After being so purposeful to introduce lots of air into our foams, the last thing we want to do now is lose the air, which is why we will gently fold the egg whites in, incorporating just a bit at a time. One of the big challenges with foam cakes is falling. That's what makes a French soufflé so notorious. It may look perfect as you are pulling it from the oven and it's lifted up with all of that hot air, but the million-dollar question is, will it stay lifted once it's cooled and all of that hot air has escaped? That's where chocolate lava cakes are so brilliant. They are designed to collapse on themselves. That's the molten chocolate center. It's basically a foam cake that is designed to fail. If that's not a perfect fancy foods to fool your friend's recipe, I don't know what is. The fruit sauce is going to be a lovely sweet tart counterpoint to cut through the richness of the chocolate cake. This is a very simple and versatile cooked fruit sauce that can be used with pretty much any type of fruit. I'm going to use frozen fruit. In this case, pitted cherries, a bit of water, salt to play up the nuance in the fruit's flavor, and maple syrup to lightly sweeten, although you could also use honey. I love the flavor of cherries and chocolate, but pretty much any fruit will work well in this sauce. You can even use fresh fruit. You just want to make sure that you add some more water to the mixture. Simply bring the mixture to a simmer and let it cook until the fruit is softened. If you want, you can leave the sauce as is, or use an immersion blender to make it partially or completely smooth. Taste the sauce to make sure it's sweet enough for your liking. If your fruit is already very sweet anyways, you can also add a squeeze of lemon to balance the acidity. Lava cakes are a wonderful make-ahead dessert for entertaining, and the same qualities that make them great for dinner parties also makes them ideal for restaurants. First, they are special, but they don't require any expensive or hard-to-find ingredients. In fact, you probably have all of the ingredients you need to make this recipe already sitting in your pantry. Secondly, because they are cooked in ramekins, they are already pre-apportioned to a single serving size. That means you can bake just as much as you need, and only as much as you need. For the sake of this episode, I'm going to be baking just one and saving the rest for tonight. And finally, all of the work can be done ahead of time. You can make these cakes up to a full day in advance, cover them, and refrigerate until needed. If you do that, just make sure that you pull them out with enough advance notice that they can come back to room temperature, so that when they bake, they will still get that ideal chocolate molten center. Then, all you have to do before serving is pop them in the oven, bake, and plate. The ingredients for lava cakes are so basic that you probably already have everything you need. As to the fruit sauce, you can swap the cherries for just about any other fruit, or skip it entirely and top the lava cakes with a scoop of ice cream. The main ingredients here are eggs, chocolate, and sugar. Given how beautiful and luxurious this dessert turns out to be, it's very inexpensive to make. The steps of this come together quickly and with very little fuss. A hand mixer, or better still, a stand mixer, makes easy work of it all. This is an excellent dessert for dinner parties. Since you want to serve it hot, I wouldn't prepare it for a party, but it works well even for larger dinners of 8 or more people. Check out the recipe in the video description below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay posted on more recipes and videos. I'll see you next time.